Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. Welcome back to the podcast. I am here solo this week to tackle the topic of swaddles. There are so many swaddles on the market, and I feel like clients never really know, and people and new parents as a whole never really know what swaddle to purchase, right? I feel like that's the question I get the most when it comes to baby products is what swaddle, because you go on Google, you go on Amazon, you go in a baby store, and there are 17 million different swaddles, y'all. And everyone has a different purpose. And so today's episode is going to be talking about swaddles, the different brands that exist, different options that are out there, and kind of like tackling which ones should you get, which ones shouldn't you get. And so let's freaking do it. I'm pulling up my Amazon here and I've just typed in baby swaddle so we can kind of go through what is on here and talk through different options and then also talk about like what I like best. The big thing to know here is that baby swaddles are so many options because babies like different swaddles. So if you purchased a swaddle that your neighbor really liked or that your sister really liked for their babies, it may not be the same swaddle that works for your family, and that's okay. However, I understand that that's not fun because every swaddle I find is expensive. Some of them are a lot of money. Some of them are upwards of $40, $50, and no one wants to be spending that much on a product that their baby's not going to use, right? So first, let's kind of just go through. When I type in baby swaddle into Amazon, one of the first thing that pops up is a muslin swaddle blanket. Those are also called receiving blankets sometimes. They're all pretty much about the same size. There's different materials. The muslin ones are the thinner ones that are a bit more stretchy. They have super stretchy wraps that are like more of like a jersey material, I guess you could say. And those are super stretchy. And then they have the ones like the blue and pink striped hospital blankets that are a lot less stretchy, but are the same size. All of those are really great options, I find, especially for early on. Babies are such Houdinis, but these swaddles, especially if you choose to what we call double swaddle, can be really, really helpful for little ones. So these are great options. I feel like people get them gifted to them so often. So you will often have them. And they also are really multi-purpose. So people will throw them in a diaper bag, use them to throw over their shoulders a burp cloth if they want to cover up while they're nursing out in public. They make a great blanket. They make a great swaddle. You can really kind of use them for so many things. And so I think that those are great options. The next kind of swaddle options that are on here, I'm not going to say specific company, but there are tons of them of what we call the Velcro swaddles. So essentially it's 3 pieces all kind of wrapped up. So you slide your baby legs first into this kind of ovular pod shape. And then you hold one arm down and strap that arm in with the fabric from one side, hold the other arm down, strap it in from the other side, and all of that Velcros together. So it's like a 3-piece system that's all going to Velcro together in order to create a tight-knit space. If you are somebody who is struggling with a fabric swaddle, these might be great. I also find if you have a baby who's a great Houdini and you want a double swaddle, you can use a fabric swaddle. And then once they're swaddled, slide them into this Velcro swaddle and strap that up. Now, all of these that we're going to be talking about right now, swaddles, is what we mean when we say their arms are by their sides. Their arms are wrapped into whatever fabric they are in. So they do not have the ability to put their arms out, move themselves around, things like that. Typically, babies are going to be swaddled arms in until about 3 months. That's what the AAP recommends. However, some people decide to do it a little bit longer if their baby's not showing signs of rolling, or if they are showing signs of rolling earlier, then they'll do arms out earlier. So these Velcro swaddles are really great options as well if you are noticing that you're just struggling with that fabric swaddle, especially in the middle of the night, and you just want something a little bit easier. The Velcro swaddles are a great option. If you notice that your little one is escaping their hands and getting them up by their face, then your best option is a swaddle like the Love to Dream swaddle. It is more of a pod where their arms are up by their heads, almost in a goalpost position. They've got a little bit of compression still around their body, and then they do still have that space for their hips and legs to move, which is really important for hip development. So these are really great options, that Love to Dream one for having their arms up, which I really do enjoy because it gives them a little bit of, um, I guess, like if they were to move their arms, they can't open them all the way. It's so hard to explain this without showing. They can't move their arms all the way out, but it's a little bit of like movement that they can still have to move their arms from, by their head to their mouth, but they can't extend their arms fully. So that moral reflex, that startle reflex isn't going to be, really much of as much of an issue if you were to just keep their arms out. Um, Love to Dream also has what they call their transitional swaddle, which has the unzippable arms on it, which is great for if your kiddos are getting bigger and you want to try to do one arm at a time, both arms, either or. Or if your kiddo's getting bigger and you're like, they don't need their arms out quite yet, but they're going to soon, and they'll probably need another size, that same size. You can purchase the transitional one and use it when it's zippered with sleeves on, or you can unzipper it with sleeves off. And they're the same size. Think about, the athletic men's like shorts, pants that have the zippers so they can turn from pants into shorts. I think they have them for women's too, but same idea, right? So if you're going to purchase a pair of pants and you're like, hey, I might as well have them be shorts because I'm going to need them to be shorts soon. Same idea. So those are great for kiddos that like their hands up. The other option that you get for a lot of Velcro swaddles, and this is a great option for kiddos that don't really need, that aren't really trying to escape. And this is great as a transitional option as well, is the Halo swaddle. Halo is the brand that a lot of people will be given in the hospital. And the Halo ones are essentially a sleep sack, which is the next transition. Once they have their arms out and they're no longer being swaddled, it's essentially a wearable sleeping bag. So if you think about like a long sleeve dress, but then it has like a foot like piece to it, right? So there's no way for them to kick their legs out. That is a sleep sack. Halo has taken that sleep sack and added basically wings to it in order to hold your baby's arms down, strap them in, and have more of a tight swaddle. So it's a swaddled sleep sack, if that makes sense. I do like this one as a transitional option for kiddos, like I said, that don't really try to move their arms out because it is pretty easy for little babies to escape from those. But you can swaddle their arms in. As they get bigger, they're going to want their arms out, right? But some babies still like a little bit of compression. So the Halo swaddle allows you to have their arms out while still taking those two pieces of fabric and strapping them around their core, and the baby's belly, but without having to strap their arms into it. So that's really a great option for that as well if you don't have a Houdini baby. The next sleep sack that I wanted to talk about in swaddle is the Happiest Baby one. Sleepia, I don't know how exactly you say it, or Happiest Baby, same kind of is the same name for that product. It is the swaddle that is used in the snoo. So if you are using this without the snoo bassinet, you want to make sure you're purchasing the one that does not have the tethers basically attached to it. This swaddle is probably the tightest and most, I would say, restrictive swaddle that I've found on the market. However, I do find that for babies that are really good at escaping, but that need compression in order to connect sleep cycles and to sleep well, this is a great option. You essentially are putting them into this pod where the Velcro is going to go again across one side and the other. And then there's also like a crotch piece. Think of, like one piece that's going to come up in between their belly, in between their legs, and then it's going to strap on as well. That's so that they don't slide up or down too much. Then once they're strapped in, you'll be able to zip up this pod that goes around their whole body. It does have mesh on it, so a lot of people like it for that breathability. And then you can also strap baby's arms into those original Velcro pieces or a little bit more outside. And the Happiest Baby ones have buttons along the armholes. So they are buttoned shut to be a pod, but you can unbutton them in order to have baby's arms out. So again, it has that transitional opportunity. like I said, I do think it is the most restrictive, but for some children, they really do need that tight, restrictive swaddle, especially in the early start if they're escaping and you don't want them to be because you find they sleep better while they are swaddled. Um, so I wouldn't say to start out with this one, because it also is typically a little bit more on the expensive side. Same with the Love to Dream. I would start with like a muslin swaddle, see if you have a very escape savvy baby. And if you do, then maybe switching, or if you find a baby that really wants to have their hands by their face, that's great too. The Velcro swaddles are a little bit on the original ones we talk about are a little bit on the cheaper side. You can normally get about a three-pack of them for the price of what you would normally get for a single Happiest Baby or Love to Dream swaddle. Then other ones that I can think of, there are so many. There's a miracle blanket. There is the oh gosh, what's the name of it? The butterfly swaddle. All really great options. Again, there's tons out there. I'm just gonna kind of go over the most well-known ones and what Amazon is showing me here because I don't want this episode to be too long. But it wouldn't be a swaddle episode if I didn't talk about the other options that are out there that I very, very, very much do not suggest. So the AAP is very hard on their stance that babies should not have weighted items on them. So there are weighted sleep sacks out there, and they do a really great job about advertising in a way that targets their target population, right? Sending ads to parents in the middle of the night and people who, are just striving for longer sleep and connected sleep, and they're going to use advertising opportunities and marketing lingo in order to grasp your attention and tell you that you're going to get these great sleep out of them. The two companies that I find do this a lot, well, one specifically, I guess, is the Dreamland Baby Company. They are a weighted sleep sack. It is very, very heavy for a tiny newborn. They have sleep sacks with arms in with a Velcro strap in the middle, like the Happiest Baby one I just explained. And then they also have, those are the swaddles, and then they also have the sleep sacks, which is the arm out ones, the ones that are like a wearable blanket. Um, we really don't suggest doing those. Amazon actually just sent out an email about those products as well, explaining that the AAP does not recommend them. And if you are using them, to either please stop using them or use them at your own discretion. Um, Dreamland Baby, I found is really great at also going out there and stating things that like, it's going to help your baby to sleep or, parent recommended or things like that. And using kind of gray area terminology to make it seem like it is approved by the AAP, even though it is not. I also find they use a lot of influencers to try to push you on this product. And it is something that I think parents are willing to share and that it does work sometimes. It creates a little bit of compression, it creates a little bit of pressure, and oftentimes, yeah, that is going to make your baby sleep better. However, I really do not believe that the risks are worth the benefits in this situation. If you are struggling enough to need a weighted sleep sack, please reach out to me and I'm happy to chat with you about other options and how to get you better sleep and better help, because that's more important than putting your baby at risk for SIDS and other sleep-related injuries and illnesses. Um, Similarly, there's one called Nested Bean that has a weighted chest. And then the one that's kind of the gray area is the Merlin sleep suit. It is a puffy, I guess you would say. It's multiple layers of fabric, and so it's very restrictive, and it almost makes them look like Michelin Man, right? Like their arms and legs are kind of stuck in the position they're in because it's too thick of a fabric for them to be able to truly move. It's not considered weighted because there's nothing in it to make it heavy. However, the layers of fabric cause that restriction of movement, which similar to the Happiest Baby can cause a little bit of when there is that restriction, there is risk of babies not meeting milestones at appropriate time frames if appropriate awake windows are not being, or exercises during awake windows are not being used. So, it's very important to kind of keep all of these things in mind. The Merlin sleep suit, depending on who you're talking to, will tell you if it's safe or if it's not safe to them. But that's one of those I find gray areas. People will say that that's not true, but some people do find that it's yes, okay. Some people say it's not. I think it really just depends on the person, and the situation, and all of this information to be said that I'm not trying to force anyone to use something or to not use something, but just to give information and factual based information, I guess, to help you figure out what swaddles work best for you and your family. I think That is all of the different ones I can think about at the moment. If anybody has questions about specific sleep sacks, swaddles, all that jazz, please feel free to send me a message, reach out on Instagram, or even just comment on this if you have the ability to do so on the platform that you're listening from. I hope that kind of helps a little bit. I know swaddles can be super overwhelming, and so definitely feel free to let me know if you need any help. I would be happy to help you find a sleep sack or swaddle that works best for you, or to help you get your baby better sleep as well. I hope this information helps, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.